What if celebrating the new year could start an intergalactic war? In 2247, humanity was about to find out why the galaxy's most powerful species had banned this ancient tradition for over 1,000 years. Commander Elena Vasquez stood at the observation deck of the Horizon Station, watching Earth's final sunset of 2247, unaware that her decision to defy the Galactic Council's most sacred prohibition would either unite two species or doom them both to extinction. The Council had been clear when humanity joined the interstellar community 15 years ago. Certain Earth traditions were forbidden, and New Year celebrations topped that list, though no one would explain why. Elena had always been a rule follower, a decorated officer who'd earned her position through unwavering discipline, but tonight felt different. Her crew, composed of humans and their alien counterparts, the Scytherians, had worked tirelessly for 3 years in the cold void of space, and morale was crumbling like ancient parchment. The Scytherians were a crystalline species, their bodies refracting light into spectacular patterns, and their logic-driven minds found human emotions perplexing yet somehow fascinating. Her second-in-command, a Scytherian named Kael'thor, had noticed the melancholy spreading through the human crew members and had privately asked Elena about this new year that humans whispered about in corridors. Against every regulation, she'd explained the tradition, a moment when humans collectively acknowledged time's passage, released their regrets, and embraced hope for what was coming. Kael'thor's crystalline form had pulsed with an emotion Elena couldn't quite read, and he'd said something that haunted her. Perhaps some rules exist not to protect us from danger, but to protect those in power from truth. Now, with midnight approaching, Elena made a choice that would change galactic history. She activated the station-wide intercom and announced that anyone who wished to join her in the observation deck for an unofficial, private gathering could do so, knowing full well this could end her career. To her surprise, the entire crew arrived, humans and Scytherians alike, curious about this forbidden moment. As the countdown began, Elena explained the tradition's meaning, how humans used this arbitrary point in time to transform themselves, to collectively decide they could be better than they were. The human crew members counted down with tears in their eyes, their voices growing stronger with each number, and when they reached 0, something extraordinary happened. The Scytherians began to resonate, their crystalline bodies emitting a harmonic frequency that amplified the humans' emotions, creating a wave of collective consciousness that rippled through the station. In that moment, Elena understood why the Galactic Council had forbidden this celebration. The Council was dominated by the ancient Vortak Empire, a species that had conquered most of the galaxy by suppressing emotional unity among their subjects, keeping species isolated in their own experiences, preventing the kind of collective transformation that humanity's new year represented. The Vortak had witnessed this tradition once before, millennia ago, when a primitive species called the Inari had practiced something similar and had used that unified consciousness to overthrow Vortak oppression. The Empire had eradicated the Inari and banned all traditions that created synchronized emotional resonance across populations. But the Vortak hadn't anticipated what would happen when human hope met Scytherian amplification. The harmonic wave didn't stop at the station, it traveled through space itself, reaching every human colony and every Scytherian world, creating an unprecedented moment of shared experience across light years. Billions of beings suddenly felt connected, understood that transformation was possible, that arbitrary divisions between species were just that, arbitrary. Within hours, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session, and Vortak warships surrounded Horizon Station. Supreme Commander Vothrak himself appeared on Elena's viewscreen, his reptilian features twisted in rage, demanding she surrender herself for execution as a traitor to galactic peace. Elena stood firm, flanked by Kael'thor and her crew, and said something that was broadcast across every world in the galaxy: "You call it treason to hope together, to transform together, to acknowledge that we can choose to be better than we were. If that's treason, then every sapient being in this galaxy is guilty, because hope isn't human, it's universal." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Species that had been subjugated for centuries began to rise, not in violence, but in unified consciousness, demanding representation, demanding freedom, demanding the right to celebrate their own traditions of transformation and renewal. The Vortak Empire, which had maintained control through division and isolation, found itself facing something it couldn't defeat with warships, unity born from shared emotional experience. Vothrak attempted to fire on Horizon Station, but his own crew members, inspired by the wave of collective consciousness, refused to follow the order. The Supreme Commander found himself alone in his hatred, his power evaporating like morning frost under a rising sun. The Galactic Council was reformed within weeks, with representatives from every species, including the Zytharians who'd been junior members for centuries despite their advanced capabilities. Kael'thor was elected as one of the new council leaders, and his first act was to establish the Accord of Shared Traditions, protecting each species' right to practices that fostered unity and transformation. Elena was offered a position as humanity's representative but declined, saying her place was with her crew, with the ordinary beings who'd shown extraordinary courage by choosing hope over fear. The twist that no one saw coming emerged 3 months later when xenoarchaeologists made a startling discovery: the Inari, the species the Vortak claimed to have eradicated, hadn't been destroyed at all. They'd evolved beyond physical form, becoming beings of pure consciousness, and they'd been waiting, watching, knowing that eventually another species would rediscover the power of unified transformation. The Inari revealed themselves to Elena, explaining that they'd guided certain events, ensuring that humans and Zytharians would meet, would work together, would find each other's strengths complementary. They'd known that human emotional depth combined with Zytharian amplification could create the catalyst needed to free the galaxy from the Vortak's oppressive reign. Elena asked why they hadn't intervened directly, and the Inari's response resonated through her consciousness: freedom given is slavery delayed, freedom chosen is transformation eternal. The New Year celebration became an annual galactic event, with each species adding their own traditions of renewal and transformation, creating a tapestry of unity that respected diversity. The Horizon Station was transformed into a monument, a reminder that sometimes the most revolutionary act is simply choosing to hope together, to acknowledge that time's passage offers everyone, regardless of species or origin, the opportunity to become better than they were. Elena retired to Earth, where she wrote a memoir that became required reading for every child in the galaxy, a testament to how one forbidden moment had sparked a revolution not of violence but of consciousness, proving that the most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or weaponry but the collective decision of ordinary beings to transform themselves and their worlds. Years later, on her deathbed, surrounded by humans and Zytharians alike, Elena's final words were captured and broadcast across the stars. They called it forbidden because they feared what we might become if we believed we could change together. But here's what I learned in that moment on Horizon Station: the future isn't something that happens to us, it's something we create together, one shared moment of hope at a time. Her death coincided exactly with midnight on New Year's Eve, and across the galaxy, billions of beings paused to honor her memory, their collective consciousness creating a harmonic wave that the Inari confirmed was the strongest expression of unified transformation ever recorded, proof that Elena Vasquez, a simple commander who defied a rule because her crew needed hope, had fundamentally altered the spiritual evolution of the entire galaxy. True transformation and progress come not from following unjust rules blindly, but from having the courage to unite with others in hope and shared purpose, understanding that traditions which bring people together in collective growth are never trivial but are actually the most powerful forces for positive change in any society. If this story inspired you to think about the power of unity and hope, please hit that like button to support this channel. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another mind-bending science fiction narrative that challenges how you see the universe. Share this story with someone who needs a reminder that we all have the power to choose transformation over fear, and drop a comment telling me what tradition you think has the power to unite humanity. Your engagement helps this channel grow and allows me to bring you more epic stories that explore what it truly means to be human in an infinite cosmos. Thank you for watching, and remember, the future we create together starts with the choices we make today.